Special meeting of the St. Augustine Beach Commission. This special meeting is for the purpose of interviewing and selecting a law firm to represent the city. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The city clerk would call the roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor England,
Here.
Vice Mayor Costa,
Here.
Commissioner George,
Here.
Commissioner Rumwell,
Here.
and Commissioner Samore.
Here.
All right, just a little refresher at our last meeting. We asked our current city attorney to send out contracts to law firms to see interest in law firms in our terms that we are offering, and we have three candidates tonight to talk to. They are Mr. Ralph Brooks, the Douglas Law Firm, and a new law firm of Naples and Spence. So I would like to discuss with the commissioners how you would like to proceed. Let me suggest that we interview the law firm of Naples and Spence, and perhaps, and you let me know whether you think we should ask for a brief comment from the other two law firms. Anybody want to express an opinion on the other two law firms?
I'm favorable to that. I think that the other two, of course, we want to hear from the firm that we have not had an opportunity to talk to. And then I also think that it's appropriate to allow the other two firms, if they have any supplemental information or comments.
Maybe a 3-minute comment period, something like that? All right, okay. So I'll invite the representative from Naples and Spence to come up and give us a little bit about your background, so we can interview you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is David Naples. I'm here with my partner Jack Spence.
Good evening.
And we are Naples and Spence. We also have our paralegal Jeannie back here for some moral support. So we practice mainly in the areas of, we do a lot of civil litigation, estate planning. Jack does some family law, some business law. We've been practicing here in St. Augustine 2010.
2010 for me.
Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry. Can you state your address for the record, please?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry. Sorry. Our address, our office address is 2807 North 10th Street. That's in St. Augustine, and the zip code is 32084.
Thank you.
And our office is located off of State Road 16, probably about a 15-minute drive from
Yep.
here. So I live here in St. Johns County, have been since 2009. Jack lives across the border north of us in Duval County, and Jeannie lives here in St. Augustine as well. We're primarily interested in this position. We have been our own firm now for about 2.5 years, and we're growing pretty quickly, and I think we're kind of hitting our stride right now, and this opportunity presented itself, and we felt that this was going to be a good opportunity for us to kind of expand our horizons and see, you know, if we could get into some other areas and learn some new some areas of law. I'm sure you're all going to have some questions in a little bit about that specific experience, but for the most part, what we're looking for is the opportunity to serve. Basically kind of built the firm based on referrals from clients and you know, gaining the trust of the community. And so, you know, we're in a position now to take on some more opportunities, some more experience, and we're really looking forward to potentially that opportunity. So, is there anything specific that y'all want to hear from us other than, obviously, we gave you guys a little printout. I think some of the keynotes from that, as we mentioned, we've been practicing in town here for, again, Jack since 2010. We work very closely with St. Johns County Legal Aid. We've been given pro bono awards. I think we wrote
6 each in the past 7 years.
So we're really invested in the community here. It's, we don't plan on going anywhere. We do have the office here. I would say the majority of our cases that we handle, the businesses that represent are here in town. As we mentioned also in that letter, we do represent some not-for-profits in town here, including Safe Pet Rescue is one of our big ones. And, we really do try to get back to the community through that service. And so again, this to us seems like a good opportunity to continue that service, the community to that service. So that's what we're really looking forward to. Hitting all the high notes.
I think he did a pretty good job hitting the high notes. The only thing I'd add, I think if you asked around in the community, other attorneys, whatnot, I think we have a pretty good reputation, and we handle ourselves with professionalism and pride ourselves on being easy to work with and non-confrontational.
And good point. So to tag along that, most of our experience is actually in litigation. And I know this particular job as city attorney, obviously you're trying to avoid litigation. So I think with our background in litigation, we have a good idea on how to avoid it. That's what we try to do, even with our clients that we represent in litigation. A lot of times it's just trying to get things worked out so that we're maximizing our time, saving our clients money. Once you get into litigation, of course, nobody really wins except for the attorneys. So, we know how to try to avoid that, and that would be part of our goal, obviously, in coming in here. But the same token with that, because we have the litigation experience, is something that we could handle if push came to shove and y'all needed someone to help with that, so.
Just out of curiosity, how did you learn about our opening here? Since we're pretty far down into
Right.
the interview process, just wondering if you missed the,
The initial?
yes.
Yes. So good question, Mayor. This actually, I think before Mr. Wilson was selected, I think your prior city attorney was Doug Burnett, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. And so I recall before his tenure was up, there was a posting for, we were at our prior firm before that. We worked in the same firm together for about 5 or 6 years before we started our own firm. I remember speaking with Mr. Burnett about it, and he encouraged me to apply, although I think at the time was a little nervous because I was still somewhat of a new attorney, and I really, again, working for another firm, I think it made it a little bit more difficult to make the time commitments. But when we recently heard about this, to answer your question, Mayor, I think I missed the deadline initially. I've recently gotten to know Mr. Wilson a little bit through the community. And when the newspaper article came out just recently through the record stating that unfortunately the other firm fell through, we didn't want to miss this opportunity, so we decided to go ahead and apply. And we weren't really sure if the commission was going to consider us. We did call. I don't recall if I spoke with you, Mr. Royal, or not, but okay. And so, it can't hurt. Put your name in and see what happens. So,
Right.
so we did miss the boat on the first one, but we do appreciate you all letting us stand here today and
Okay.
at least present ourselves. So,
All right. Other commissioners, questions? Starting over here?
Thank you for stepping forward and being willing to fill the position. I do have a question about experience. You did mention some of your experience, but I did want to follow up and ask, do you have any experience either representing or doing any type of work for a school board, any type of governmental body at all?
yeah, good question. That's the hard one for us. So the short answer is no. We have not directly represented a municipality or a small government body. We have handled, I think we mentioned it in the little letter that we provided, we have handled a lot of issues with local government, representing people in code enforcement hearings. So we're familiar with, at least from this end of it, kind of how it works. We've also been trying to work with the county on trying to pass a animal abuser registry, and so that has allowed us to work hand in hand with the county attorney and their office, and I think we actually met with Chief Hardwick a while back. And so we from that end of it, we kind of got a good idea of kind of the inner workings behind the scenes from your end of it. And so while we don't have that direct experience, you know, at some point, everyone's got to be given an opportunity to get that experience, and so that's kind of why we're here today, so.
The only thing I'll add to that, I'm on the COC board for the county, so I'm familiar with how a board works, being intimately involved with it.
Thank you.
Good catch. Thank you.
I think same questions. Thank you again for applying and coming forward. I think pretty much Commissioner Samore asked probably the same questions, you know, what made you apply? Background to me is important. And are you okay with the terms that were sent out is another question.
Yes, yeah, I believe we did sign that contract
Okay.
and send it back, so,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
So in full disclosure, I would like to let you all know that I have worked with both of these gentlemen. Dave Naples helped me when I first started my business back in 2012. My accountant failed to pay my taxes. So he was, he was instrumental in helping me to rectify that in a pleasurable way, or less painful way than it could. Mr. Spence actually helped me to set up a corporation for one of my other businesses, which is related to music. So that's how I know both of these gentlemen. I can tell you that they're both very thorough in their work. But my question to you, gentlemen, is so how do you propose to bridge that gap, that void of experience between what you know, and I can speak for your work ethic and quality, but it is an entirely different field of law. So what is your plan to bridge that void of experience?
Good question. I think you had a good answer for that. You told me earlier.
So if I may say this, I do know Mr. Wilson, and, you know, he has indicated that should it get to that point, and we were offered the position, I hope I'm allowed to say this, but he did say he would be available for any kind of questions, comments, concerns that we may have had. You know, we do intend on taking some CLEs to help us with, you know, kind of bridging that gap and getting educated on this. You know, I think all of your candidates here are obviously intelligent people. We all went to law school, we all passed the same bar. So, you know, I think it's something that we could catch on to pretty quickly. You know, our goal really is just to kind of work hand in hand with y'all and try to help you as best as we can. And so, you know, it might be something that, of course, like anything, there's going to be some sort of a learning gap, but I think it's something that, you know, we're both pretty, I like to say pretty young still. So, you know, I think it's something that we can catch on to pretty quickly. So that answers your question, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Also, in disclosure, of course, I know both of you. We've worked together on a couple cases. Mr. Spence especially, we've been opposing counsel. And we've also kind of collaborated. And you do have excellent reputation, certainly amicable. And I've enjoyed working with you as opposing counsel as well. So that speaks highly. Of course, in this position, the lack of direct experience does give me a little bit of concern. I'm sure you would be able to get up to speed pretty quickly, but just to be fully honest and direct, I would worry about somebody learning on the job just simply because during the meetings there are frequently occasions when we need to know some procedural things, and it's helpful. I'm sure you could get there, but just so you know, since we do have other applicants, that's one of my concerns. So if you have anything else to add to kind of appease that concern, I'd love to hear it. I think it's similar to if not the same as the question already asked, but if it weren't for that, in other words, that's my only real hesitation. So, yeah.
And I understand, and
Yeah.
we knew that coming into this. So,
Of course, of course.
The way we looked at this, Commissioner, and thank you for your words, we appreciate that. The way we looked at this coming in today was you all have some good candidates already out here who have, I think, forget the gentleman's name, Ralph, I think the other gentleman. We looked at his resume, obviously, he's got way more experience than we do, we certainly understand that, but the way we looked at this was, you probably wouldn't have had this special meeting if it wasn't for some other reason. Of course, we saw the minutes and the concerns, and so what we're trying to do, if we can help bridge that gap, is we're more about the fit. And although, yes, maybe on paper, we don't have all that experience right now, it's something that, you know, we will learn and we will do that as quickly as possible. We're just, again, we're like we always say, fit guys, not physically fit, but we're working on that. But yeah, we want to work with people that want to work with us. That's how we find our clients. They come to us because they want to work with us, and then we in turn work with them. And so we're hoping that the fit will be enough to make the transition easy from Mr. Wilson to, should it be us, where we could gain all of your all's trust and
That's
as
a-
we did helping others, so.
That's a good point, because I will say, you know, in my own practice, my clients' needs have taken me into new areas of the law, certainly. But, you know, regardless of whatever the outcome is, hopefully that there's, you know, if it's something you guys are interested in, your firm is dedicated to, you know, acquiring that experience, there might be various opportunities for collaboration down the road. So it's, yeah, that's a good point.
All right. Thank you so much. I think if the Douglas Law Firm is here, if,
May I just ask one more? I'm sorry. I know I had my turn, but a question
Go
came
right
up
ahead.
after. Since there are two of you with the firm, what would be the intent of who would be the primary city attorney, and would the other act as a backup or an assistant, and who would cover the planning and zoning meetings, since we have other bodies that you have to cover?
Good question, Commissioner. I think on the application, we put me down as
That's right.
primary. Selfish like that. But yeah, he would be, we would both work together. I mean, we have, as you see, a small office right now, but prior to us coming here, we actually were in the process of hiring somebody else. And so depending on what happens with your all's decision, it might be something that, you know, we may bring on another person, but we do intend, we work closely together, and we have been for 10 years now, so it would be something that, although I may be the face, you know, potentially sitting over there where Mr. Wilson is, we would be working together behind closed doors, and again, if I couldn't be available, he would be here, so.
Thank you.
I also have just one more thing, if you wouldn't mind. We have had a couple of very high-profile issues come before us in the last couple of years. Have you had a chance to review any of those, and do you have any comments on them?
I know you guys had the issue with the hotel and the water park that I think just got resolved. I don't know if that was through Mr. Wilson or
Yes.
not, but, yeah, as far as hearing about it in the news, we've heard about it. I haven't looked too much into it as far as the legalities and things like that, if that's the question you're asking, yeah, to be candid with you, so.
Thank you.
any other questions? All righty.
Very much.
Thank you again
Thank you all.
for,
Appreciate
for, and it's so nice to meet you all, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If the Douglas Law Firm would like to add any additional comments, we're going to ask you to keep it to 3 minutes. And then we'll, if there's any other questions from commissioners.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Charlie Douglas for the Douglas Law Firm. Here with me is Attorney Linda Campbell and Attorney Lex Taylor. We'll stand on what we were able to present last time. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. We'd be honored to have the opportunity to serve you. Some of the highlights from our last meeting is that we currently represent the Putnam County School Board. And in that capacity, the school district is the largest employer in Putnam County with a budget of approximately $90 million. And we are the attorneys who support the school board. I'm the one who sits up on the dais with the board as they meet, but Lex and Linda both participate in the legal representation, and this would be the team that would represent the city of St. Augustine Beach. We would all be intimately familiar with all the issues that are going on at any given time. We would share emails with all of us in a group email, so that if for some reason a scheduling conflict arose, we would be able to have someone immediately step in, and there would not be any interruption. There would be a continuity of coverage and service. As we represent the school district, we have seen all the issues you can imagine, from finance to HR, policies and procedures, sunshine, public records requests, and all the other things that come along with administrative and local government representation. Also, Lex has had a lot of experience with Hillsborough County on the growth management side, and Linda, who's in practice, 30 years now? Has also had experience with local government work up in New Jersey. And we're grateful to have a team that we have here to be able to support the city and the various needs that would arise.
Okay. Commissioners, any further questions?
Have there been any material changes to the law firm since you last applied?
No, sir.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming back and sticking with us from the very beginning.
Yes,
We appreciate that.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
It's Mr. Ralph Brooks. Mr. Brooks.
Good evening. As you know, I'm Ralph Brooks, and I really want to be your city attorney. And I would like to make you my primary municipal client.
Sir, could you state your address for the record?
Oh, my address is Ralph Brooks, 1217 East Cape Coral Parkway, number 107, Cape Coral 33904. But should I gain your trust and be your city attorney, I would like to have an office address here as well, and I've been looking around here. I have had my own successful practice in local government law since 1998 as Ralph Brooks attorney. I've been certified in city, county, and local government law since 2004, which is 15 years now. So for 20 years, I've had my own practice representing 4 municipalities that are coastal barrier island communities in Florida, and I'd like to make you my 5th. Before that time, I was land use and zoning counsel for Monroe County, which is all the Florida Keys except the municipalities. But I worked with the municipalities there as well. In Almirada, I served as special magistrate for fluoride claims, environmental land use law dispute claims. And I have also served as an assistant county attorney for Sarasota County under 3 different county attorneys. So I got an idea of how different counties attorneys have practice styles and how to run an office and a legal work schedule. So I have a good deal of experience. I would not worry so much about my travel. I can make it here. I am driven. This morning I flew in from New York City, LaGuardia to be here today. I'll be here anytime you need me. You just let me know. I have, since the last meeting, reached out and found a substitute attorney who's well qualified, Dennis Bayer. He's been a special magistrate for zoning hearings, zoning disputes and cases, including St. Augustine and at St. Augustine Beach, I believe also. And he has many years as a city attorney for Beverly Beach in the adjacent Flagler County. And he has an office in Flagler Beach. And I'm open to also training other lawyers or law firms if we would like to bring in somebody else, including this Naples firm. I'm happy to work with them and anyone else that we work with. And I look forward to a smooth transition. I can begin as early as tomorrow morning. So I hope to be your next city attorney. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Okay, any further questions? Start over here again.
Mr. Brooks, have you supplied any information on the intended backup attorney?
Yes, I sent Dennis Bayer's resume to you on February 12th. It should have been distributed through the clerk. I think some of you have it, and do we have a copy of that, or was it
I did as well.
submitted? It might be in the packet,
Email.
attached to an email.
Thank you. And has anything material changed with your firm or your workload? I think the city of Madeira Beach was in question as to whether there would still be an obligation there.
Yes, if I were to be your city attorney, I will not reapply for Madeira Beach. You will become my primary city attorney client.
And the other municipalities that you represent?
On the town of Yankeetown, I still continue to represent. I don't attend their meetings on a regular basis, but I do answer questions for them here and there. They don't have an attorney attend all their meetings. They're a town of 700 residents and a very small budget, and they usually don't get into too many legal issues.
No more for me right now.
Vice Mayor, any questions?
No.
Okay. Commissioner? Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so, let's see. I think, unless we have further questions now, we can take public comment.
All right. Mr. Ed Slavin.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Ed Slavin, box 3084, edslavin.com. First of all, I want to echo what you said, Vice Mayor. The Naples and Spence firm is outstanding. They're the best consumer lawyers in town, and they also represent me. And I still stick by what I said about Ralph Brooks. He is, without a doubt, the Thurgood Marshall of environmental law and land use planning law in the state of Florida. And I suggested to him last week that he might want to associate the Naples and Spence firm with him on representing St. Augustine Beach, because there are certain aspects of St. Augustine Beach city government involving consumer law and contracts, as when you have been asked to approve red light cameras with an unconscionable contract of adhesion. It would have been really helpful at that point to have had Naples and Spence. But when you're dealing with the likes of Embassy Suites, you need Ralph Brooks. And I'll just repeat myself what I said at several prior meetings. He's the guy who helped to save Fish Island in the first instance. Fish Island is now ours, but thanks to Ralph Brooks representing J. Kenneth Bryan, our former county commissioner, and several residents of Pelican Reef, it was a holding action and basically stopped Fish Island from being destroyed. Also, last year, I saw him try a case, and that's what it was, in front of the Planning and Zoning Agency involving the outpost. And while the Planning and Zoning Agency voted to allow the outpost to be destroyed by the Gate Petroleum family, his strategizing was so good that the Paytons did not appeal. They were going to have a meeting at the county commission where the county commission was going to vote them down. And because of Ralph Brooks, we have the outpost to be grateful that it's been saved too. So he saved the outpost. He helped to save Fish Island. And he's exactly the kind of guy you need here to protect what you know and love here in St. Augustine Beach, and to protect our small, low-rise beach town from the likes of Embassy Suites. So that would be my input. Thank you.
Any others?
That is all.
All right. Commissioners, how do you want to handle this? Discussion, anybody have anything, thoughts they want to share right now on our applicants? All good.
I mean, I was extremely impressed with Mr. Brooks at the last meeting, and, I love hearing his willingness to work with the local council as scenarios that might compel having, I guess it sounds though like you've got a lot of litigation background as well, but, I know these two, litigation, certainly. So there's, that seems like a, good kind of balance. I really like the fact of having certification. I don't know if the non-lawyers on the board understand what that means. The certification has to be renewed on a regular basis. There's very high standards to get certified. It's not just passing the Florida bar. You pass the Florida bar exam, and then you gain experience sufficient to be called an expert. So, ethically, you can't refer to yourself as having an expertise in any area of law unless you have a certification in that area. So for me, that's an extremely compelling, game changer among the applicants, and has been from day one. So certainly I came into it with that bias. I had really no contact or affiliation with Mr. Brooks prior, so it's other than that, it's really that criteria and experience that's driving me in that instance, and where we've got sound backup, as well as, you know, some connection with other backups. I feel like those concerns have been mediated. So he was my number 2 selection at the last meeting, and I think I'll probably keep that prioritization personally. But since you're asking for thoughts, I share them.
I share your enthusiasm for Mr. Brooks. However, there is the conflict with other representation, and his backup has a little bit of conflict with other representation on the same Monday nights. So we need to consider that possibility, no matter how well-intentioned, and the travel. So let's take that into consideration.
But didn't he say at the interview, though, that they don't request his presence at every meeting? It's only
And
on.
he just did tonight,
as
too.
requested.
He just did tonight. Mr.
Yeah.
Brooks, let us,
So, I mean, if that's the case, and, you know, it sounds like an extremely small town, a couple hundred, right? And so they've actually changed their meeting schedules to accommodate his schedule in the past. So given that, and then his statement that he's not going to seek further employment with them, I mean, you know, it neutralizes that concern for me.
okay, all right. Anyone else on anything?
That is still one of my concerns. I know how we struggle sometimes when we have to plan an extra meeting, and that happens more often than not, that we've got to plan extra
Special
meetings.
meetings, yeah.
Special meetings, and we can never guarantee it's going to be a Monday, or, you know, it's at the mercy of our 5 schedules. So I do have some reservations about a one-person firm in order to do the work involved, the workload, attend all the meetings, not just our meetings, but also planning and zoning meetings, and prepare everything without backup does concern me somewhat. I do like the fact that we have 2 applicants at this point that are locally based, and I think that goes a long way in my book. Being immersed in the community, being part of the community, giving back to the community, I think gives them provides them the chance to have a well-rounded view of what's going on and how it affects us here in that case, their hometown. So that's just a couple of my thoughts, but I love the fact of having in-firm backup versus someone that probably is going to be rather disengaged if they're not in the community and they're not part of the same firm. I would think the tendency would be to be disengaged unless called upon, and that makes me a little bit nervous also. So those are just some of my thoughts on that.
Any other commissioner want to share thoughts?
Yes, a couple questions, kind of the same concerns. I understand Commissioner Undine's perspective of being certified. I think that's a big deal. I think that's important. However, my still concern is if we have an emergency and something needs to be done and Mr. Brooks is on the road, is he going to pull over? Is he going to go to a public library? There's no real opportunity, I feel, for us to have that dialogue if there is something that's pressing. I like the fact of having local counsel. I think it's important. However, I think, you know, we have to decide which one weighs more. Is it the certification? Is it the localness? And, you know, I don't want to be stuck where we hire somebody and then in 5 months we're back trying to hire somebody else. And so that's been my concern. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get more applicants than what we've had, but that's kind of where I'm sitting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was on this board a couple times when, you know, the lead attorney wasn't able to be here. And it was, I don't want to say, you know, who it was, but it's a story I tell and in a lovingly way laugh about it, because I had asked a question and I had waited and waited and waited to ask the question until the lead attorney got here, because I knew it was something you would not be able to answer. I mean, I'm an attorney. Sometimes I ask questions I know the answers to get them on the record, and so I'm not presuming. But this was something that was very specialized, and it wasn't something that's uncommon that comes up on during my, tenure so far on, being on the commission. And, the individual in the chair was so grateful, seeing out in the parking lot, the lead person coming in. The person in the chair didn't even respond to my question, but literally ran out of the room. It was so cute. And, but, so I have a lot of reservation about, not having that experience. Again, not any reflection on the applicants, because, that's, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of directing it towards the one firm here. So just, I guess because I've had that experience a couple times, I see how worthwhile it is. And then the other thing is that we won't know the impact of, not having the full experience advice until later. That's the other thing. So, those are my thoughts. And then as to any kind of an emergency, I mean, if we set an emergency meeting, I mean, Max, he's done it, on this board, right? He's had to shuffle to make sure there's going to be a schedule that will accommodate. So that's something, it's just, just like all of us, we've got to, he's got to coordinate it. So I don't know, those are my further thoughts.
Vice Mayor, anything you would like to add?
I am certain that we're going to be able to reach a decision tonight. We have 3 very qualified candidates,
I think so.
and so we should probably not leave without making a decision.
So I just want to mention, we do have one local law firm with some experience.
Yes.
So, if there are no further, I think just we should vote.
Put the ballots in.
Are we picking one, or are we ranking them, or how are we?
I think just a straight vote. We've got 3 applicants. Let's
Sounds
try
good.
this.
It says,
Sounds
please
good.
rank 1 to 3, run the highest. This is from Beverly.
Oh, okay, all right.
But you can do it any way you'd like.
Well, they should all be considered.
Let's be, I think,
Okay.
Mayor, let's be clear on how we're going to do this. Because
Okay.
we can't, Beverly said it is up to us on how we do this. If it's choose one and vote or rank.
I'm not sure what we'd do with ranking, so I would prefer we just vote for one law firm and see how we come out.
Okay.
We need the Jeopardy music. Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, the vote was 3-2, and Douglas Law Firm was the winner, so.
Things I really appreciate, and all the commissioners do, and the staff, of the time you've taken to come and visit with us. We hope we cross paths again. And to Naples and Spence, thank you so much. We really, really, it was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, I think you've got to vote, you need to make a motion to hire.
Okay, all right.
I'll make a motion to extend the contract to the vote winner, Douglas Law Firm.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. We have a new law firm. and Mr. Wilson can now retire. Finally, we're going to release him.
Does he get a second plaque now?
Yeah, sure.
For the longest
Player of the
extension.
year.
He retires only after this meeting.
You mean the next meeting?
The next meeting,
The next meeting?
technically.
I'm
yeah.
sorry, yes, the next meeting. Sorry, you're right.
All right, if there's no further comments or business, I will close the special meeting and we'll take a 5-minute break.
Can we just have an adjournment for this meeting?
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
all right, motion,
All in
all
favor?
in favor?
Aye.
Motion to
No
adjourn
opposed?
carried.